if you have any questions. Yeah.
All right, one more technical question.
Yeah.
I have two accounts that suddenly their hashtags, are not searchable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a word for that kind of glitch thing.
They're not searchable.
They don't show up in recent and they don't show up in new.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they just.
What are the hashtags?
One is Winfield Gallery, and the other one's Fancy Gallery. I know, so they're not like, strange or anything.
Yeah. Are there other people who post with those hashtags?
Sometimes, but like I'll post and check right away, and it's just not listed.
Is it on private?
It should be.
The profile is on private.
Business. Okay. I can check.
Yeah, that's interesting. Usually it won't show if it is on private. That's the only thing I can think of. But if it's not on private, I would love to play around with it with you right now to see. Does anyone have any other questions, comments? Yeah.
How to spell the name of the social media management tool that you just mentioned?
So HOOT, like Hooch, like an owl say Hooch, suite, like a hotel suite. So SUIT. Yeah. And then the other one is, I'm sorry?
How about the other one?
Sprout Social. So SPROUT Social. Yeah. So those are definitely my two favorites. I love their interfaces. They're very easy for me to just sit down and create all the posts at once and not have to think about it later, which also gets rid of all that stress and kind of intimidation of using social media. Yeah. Avisha, do you have a question? Oh, sorry. Any other comments about it? Yeah.
I have more questions based on Instagram. They have like a paid service to create ads on their website. And then they do ads for where you're based on your location, you get ads, but you pay for those ads to show up on there. Do you know any of the success rate about those ads, or do you recommend to use that, or more of a
So the thing with Instagram ads, you have to have a Facebook account to do it with, because Facebook owns Instagram. So if you're doing a Facebook ad, then it'll go onto Instagram, and that's how you'll be able to specifically say who you want to target and so forth. I know that Instagram ads are very successful because it is so visual. If you have something very visual that people want to click on, it's very successful. And this also goes on to Instagram stories. So it's really everywhere that Instagram user is going to be. So I definitely recommend them because they are tied with Facebook. So if you're doing Facebook, you might as well doing Instagram at that point. Yeah.
So for Facebook and Instagram, when you pay for them, is ask for $6 or $7 for 1,000 or 100 exposure. I forgot.
Yeah.
But for this kind of exposure, will they repeat on the same person, or are they going to, if they expose to one person and they're not going to repeat it again on the same person?
I believe that it's an option that you have on there that you can select if it is going to repeat on the same person or not. That also depends on that person. So if they already said, I don't want to see this ad again, they won't see it anymore. But yeah, you definitely have the option, I believe. Yeah. Any other comments? Any other struggles with social media that you have some questions about?
You didn't mention YouTube. YouTube's pretty powerful.
Yes, YouTube. For that reason, it was because it is such a powerful tool that would have taken me all night as well. And like we said,
we'll
we're
need to do a whole separate session on YouTube because is YouTube a social media, or is it a search engine, or is it it's such a monster of its own.
But social media, sorry, not social media, well, yes, but YouTube specifically is extremely powerful. And if your company is making videos, if you're able to sit down and talk to people who are watching YouTube, then it is a very powerful tool. But let's just say if you're not really using a lot of videos in your company, then it's not going to be used to its fullest potential.
What about trends? I understand Facebook, the trending is going down, and Twitter and Instagram gets a lot more hits with younger people.
Right.
It seems to be more effective. Do you have any data on that?
So with Facebook, it is going towards more of a different age group now. It is getting a little bit older because all of the younger generation is more on Instagram and Twitter. So that's something that you'll have to really focus on. Okay, so for Facebook, I may have to change my voice. I'm going to change the way that I target and the way that I do the ad targeting and so forth than you would on Instagram and on Twitter. So really, when you have all these different platforms, you have to be changing your voice to accommodate these different followers.
I have a question just for you guys, 20-somethings, whatever you guys are. So you get these Twitters and these Instagrams, and they're firing at you like a fire hose. How do you keep up with it? Do you even look at it? How do you get attention? How many Twitter hits do you get a day? I mean, just with the email, I get hundreds of things. How do you guys, is it important in your life and you really look at it, or are you overwhelmed with it?
I would say for the most part for myself, I go on there like have a quick laugh like throughout my day and throw it away. Well, you know, like it's not like a emails like kind of look for more like the important stuff, but like when I go like onto Twitter, just like a quick laugh, or like say like there's like a game going on and I'm watching the game while I'm checking. That's what more.
You know, that's a very good point too. So like what I was saying about changing your voice on these different platforms, something that I've kind of played around with too is, okay, so on Instagram, maybe if I post something more serious, what are the results going to be? But if I post something that's a little bit more fun, a little bit more quirky, what are those results going to be? And it's definitely a platform that people are looking for the laughs, and people are looking for more of that entertainment. So something just nice and pretty to look at, which is why I said it's not a place that you'll be necessarily finding a lot of website traffic and customer conversion. So it is definitely more entertainment, kind of like how YouTube is.
It's just entertaining. Well, how many Twitter hits or Instagram hits do you get a day on your phones?
Well,
I mean,
Do you get like 100?
it just depends if I posted a picture, then I can see like who's liking it, who's commenting on it.
But do you get 100 or you get 50?
I mean, like my personal account, maybe like 50 or 60 likes. It just depends, I guess. Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, but and then I'll get people that send me like stuff on like in my messages on Instagram, like memes and stuff like that, like videos, stuff like just
Is it
messages.
addictive? I mean, you gotta look at
Very.
it. Just like,
Yeah, well,
It is like people who like.
Here's the indication of addictive. The most useless thing to say in the classroom is everybody close your computers and turn your phones off. It causes no movement whatsoever.
You gotta talk to a human being.
I just people who like to post, and then there's like people I meet who just like don't really post as much, but put into like that stuff.
I've seen people addicted to Facebook so much, they
Yeah.
don't even want to talk to you, they're just upset all the time, they're just.
We are addicted to Facebook or Instagram, but we are not addicted to the post.
I have a comment on that.
That's a good point.
It's
Really good point.
unfortunately with my generation, like us, we need things to occupy our time, and especially in class, and that's why everyone's constantly looking on our phone. No. As sad as it is to say, like people get bored and they immediately look at their phone.
I mean, I do that in the middle of class. I get bored. I'm talking.
Yeah,
I start doing my phone.
It's to the point where like we don't even realize it. Like what he said, if there was one whole class where there was no computers or phones, I'm pretty sure everyone would be jumping up the building.
It's FOMO. Everybody has FOMO.
Excuse me?
FOMO. If you're missing out, you have to know what's going on.
Well, it's something. It's another way of occupying time, making time go by faster. That's the best way I can say it.
Well, I've read a lot of stuff, this is an attention economy, and the psychologists are tracking you on every single thing you do, how to control your mind. And actually, in biology, your 8 mind is being controlled, and you don't realize you're being controlled that much. You're getting dopamine hits, and they track everything you do, at what time you open things up. So, I mean,
We're the controllers in this room.
you guys are being tracked and controlled more than you can even
And
imagine.
it's not just them, even you.
Yeah.
Control.
I don't use search. I don't use a lot of.
Another good
It's
example
happening.
is like the generation below us. Like they're growing up without textbooks. They're growing up with iPads,
Yeah.
and that's. I don't want to say they're gonna fail as a generation, but that's. I think.
Yeah, the whole information acquisition and processing, I think, is changing, and I'm trying to figure out how to keep up with it as an instructor. Because the notion that students are going to sit down and consume a textbook the way you or I would have when, it's just not going to happen. There are a few students who do, but their whole information acquisition process is different. And And then I think this also has implications for, businesses trying to advertise, realizing that you're cutting through hundreds and thousands of these messages that are, for a time there, social media was a great place to go because there wasn't much clutter. There was all this advertising clutter out there, but not much. Now there's far more clutter there.
Yeah.
And so how do you break through that? How do you create a post that's going to get the kind of attention that people are going to notice and take action on?
Any kind of question going back to that, like, how do you recommend like somebody use like a brand ambassador, like say influencer, like somebody to say they use your product and post it on like social media? Is that like a recommendation or like?
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially in our generation right now, that is extremely powerful because you are showing that your product or your service, that people are using it and people are enjoying it, and it's giving it a more personality. Because yeah, you can say so much about your company, you built it, but no one's really going to believe that it's a good product until they see someone else using it. So that's another reason why Yelp is also very.
The stars get paid.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars.
They do.
Like these Kardashians and stuff. They get paid.
Millions just
For
for
wearing
one
your
post.
tennis shoes or.
Yeah.
It's more like, I heard it's like gotten a little more saturated now, like influencers. Like
It is.
in particular industries, I guess, like.
Well,
like makeup and
everyone's using
fashion
it,
and stuff like that, yeah.
Totally.
It's like, I always see like Fashion Nova on Instagram. all their
Yeah,
posts.
but you see how well they're doing.
Yeah, that's
They're
true, yeah.
doing extremely well
Yeah.
because they're seeing real women wearing their clothes. It's
They also
not
have
just
money
models.
to pay like really
Yeah.
expensive models for modeling photos, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you have, okay, for example, my sister, she sells, what's it called, like nursing backpacks for new mothers.
Oh.
And she's started to find influencers to start posting about it. So she has been paying them a little bit, or she's been giving them an incentive of, I'll give you a free bag if you post about it for me. And that's really helped her sales because these people they believe in the product first. And they're not to the people who have millions of followers, but they have a significant amount and they can make a substantial stamp on her product. Yeah.
I was gonna add, like Instagram is like cracking down on that stuff because they notice like everybody's posting that they sell like tea that'll make you skinny and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So they have you have to post it's an ad. Is that something that like was really important, or is it kind of just business as usual with that being added to? Would that be like an enforcement that you have to do when you advertise something on?
Like a paid ad, you mean?
Yeah, like a
On
paid
Instagram?
ad.
I mean, paid ads, they will increase your reach.
No, I was kind of going like I was saying like when you pay somebody to like when you
Oh.
pay an
Do you have a
influencer to do
disclaimer?
something. Yeah, so they have to have
Yeah,
a disclaimer to say this and that. Is that like an issue at all, or is that people just saying, "Oh, look, that's Natalie"? Like I already kind of knew.
It kind of depends. Like some people don't mind it. I've heard a lot of 50-50 behind that, where people are saying, I don't like that you've started taking paid advertisements and that people are paying you to promote your product on YouTube or on Instagram or whatever. But some people are also like, that's okay because I already trust you. So they kind of already give that respect to them, and they're saying, yeah, I know that you're getting paid for it, but I already trust your opinion, and I already know that you're not going to promote something that you don't believe in. So it's a whole trust thing that goes back to the person, goes back to the company, and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna, oh, go.
Oh, no, you go
I
ahead.
was just gonna add on to that, because I've noticed lately, I don't know if it's a new thing that maybe Instagram is like doing, but I follow this guy who's like makes YouTube videos about like he does it's like a cooking channel,
Mhm.
and now like lately he's been posting stuff with Frank's hot sauce, and he's been using that in every one of his like recipes, and then but now he's been hashtagging ad in it. So maybe that's something now they have to do, maybe to let their followers know that they're being paid
so
to
on
promote it.
Instagram. I think so.
Yeah, 'cause I've
For sure on
noticed-
YouTube, that's always been a thing.
I've noticed like he's doing everything with Frank's hot sauce, he's hashtagging the ad and everything. So I think it's something maybe that he has to do now or something.
Or
since he's
maybe
serving
just
followers.
to show his followers that he's not being deceptive.
Yeah,
as well,
maybe that too.
to kind of
Yeah.
be straightforward. Yes, I'm doing an advertisement,
Yeah.
and because I'm being transparent about it, you can still trust me. You're gonna say something.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say especially after the whole fire festival, I don't know if you guys heard about that, but there was a guy who he was putting on a music festival, and he had celebrity models post for him, and then in the end there was no festival, and he basically stole all of these people's money. And so ever since then, I've noticed a lot more people are saying this is a paid advertisement because they don't want to be liable for people saying, well, Khloe Kardashian posted about this, so I thought it was real, and I spent my money because this person posted and I trusted them. So it's kind of like basically a security for themselves, so that if something goes wrong with the product, then they said like it was just an advertisement.
I think Fire Festival kind of like weaponized social media in a way that was like not right, obviously. I mean, if you see the documentary.
The scammers will always be
Yeah.
with us. Maria, you had a.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask about stories, because that seems to be even more entertaining than posts.
Yeah.
So,
So stories are really great for another form of live advertising, live communication with your followers. Because this is happening in the moment. Yes, you can post from your phone, but they can tell when you posted a video that you recorded on your phone. So it is much better when you do it already in Instagram stories. Another thing with it, for you to be able to have, to provide a link for people to swipe up and to go to a certain website or whatever the case is, you have to reach up to 10,000 followers. So it's not something that you can just automatically have by having a business account. You have to reach a certain follower reach, because I believe it shows their legitimacy, and it shows Instagram that you're not just another spammer trying to get people to a website that they don't trust yet. So that's another thing with stories. It's a really great thing. People using the live stories, posting, let's just say for the deodorant. If you wanted to post a story of you making the deodorant or at your factory or whatever the case is, that's showing the behind the scenes happening right now. And another way to humanize and get people to trust you.
Can you do a story out of pictures you already have?
Yes, of course. Yeah. It's just, again, it'll show a little bit differently on there, so they can tell that it was from your phone, not taken directly with stories. But it really,
Good.
You mentioned about Facebook have 2.2 billion users, but how many actually are
about half,
About half.
which is
And
still a lot.
And then, yeah, but how much time do they actually spend on Facebook compared to the time they spend on Netflix, YouTube, or TV?
I don't particularly know how much time that they spend on there.
Is it in the stats?
I'm sure.
No, I mean, do they give you stats? on
No,
it?
not when you're looking on the analytics for either Hootsuite, Sprout Social, or the analytics you use for Facebook. That's something that's a little bit more in depth that you have to search a little bit more. Yeah. So it's not as straightforward for you to know about as the other
How much
analytics are.
time?
You can target people that are on Netflix a lot.
And
Ads.
Because their software, you know, when you go on a website, I mean, it'll track every move.
Oh, yeah,
you make,
definitely,
how much
definitely.
time you do and that kind
Yeah,
of thing. I would
that's-
think- I'm sure they.
I'm
Facebook
sure that's
tracks
something
it.
that's
You can probably look up online statistics of
If someone wants to look it
Yeah.
up on their
It's
phone.
just
Check
that
out
every-
your own website. You can do some of the user
You-
tracking. Very friendly.
Yeah.
Ladies first.
So as far as stories, you didn't mention Snapchat. Do you think that's a good business tool?
That's what I was about to ask, right?
Snapchat.
What do you say about Snapchat?
Snapchat is definitely dying. I've noticed Snapchat is not as reliable for people anymore, because on Snapchat, when you're swiping, you see like all these different stories on there. Those are much more paid advertisements that I've noticed people aren't taking as legitimately as these other social media platforms. So for Snapchat, especially because Instagram now also has stories, Snapchat is just another application that people are saying they have to have and don't really see the use of it anymore. I know a lot of people still definitely use it. I mean, it's not completely dead, but it's not as important to really think about.
And with Facebook, they do have the,
They also have stories, yeah.
billions, and that's not dying because it just doesn't feel fun anymore. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is something that I actually looked at today that I just thought about including in here was kind of a graph that someone made of where all of these social medias are kind of looking. And Facebook is definitely turning a little bit of a dive, and it seems that Reddit and Instagram are going up more now in 2019. So everything else is kind of taking a dive. But Facebook, it's still targeting, you're still able to get to people in their faces, and it's still a very powerful tool. But definitely Instagram is a really good place.
Just sort of quasi-anecdotal evidence. So I've been teaching back in the university, teaching for about 12 years now, and every year at some point I ask the question about what social media they're using, et cetera. And when I started 12 years ago, every student had a MySpace account. And Facebook was just getting started. And there was a very quick switch over from MySpace to Facebook. It was like 2 years. MySpace was dead. Oh, that's for high school kids. And everybody had Facebook account. And the last couple of years, students have been sneering more at Facebook. They're still on it, but they're sneering at it more. It's not the cool thing to do. So there's definitely this younger person move away from it, but I can't fully quantify it that way.
Yeah, I would say like for like a lot of students, like they go on Facebook to communicate with like their grandparents or like family.
With old
My
people.
great grandma.
You don't want like essentially like I feel like the way people say like you don't want to post the stuff you want to post and then like your grandparents are on there so now they see what you want to post and you want to jump out of there and go somewhere else so they don't see your stuff.
So my daughter unfriended me several years ago when she was having a particular mood and she did a fuck my life little post. And being dad, I immediately posted her back and said, "Are you okay?" And bingo, I was unfriended.
Well, even my mom is on Instagram, so I kind of hide my stories from her too. I don't want those text messages either.
Well, but it comes down to interests as well. Like whatever you're interested in, what you like your grandma might not approve of it. Because I know I don't have my grandparents or any of my aunts or uncles as friends on Facebook either. So
But I mean, like Facebook, like we said, we do still use it to interact with our families. So most of us do still get on it, and that's how your ads are getting seen.
So
So
great for
either
events
way.
too.
Oh, for
There's
events.
nothing that can compete for events.
Exactly.
Mhm.
What do you guys use to kind of find out about events going on in the community, if anything? Nothing?
browsing. Honestly, Facebook is probably
Facebook.
probably an
For
option.
events, yeah.